It's like, when you think your house is clean until you have guests over and suddenly all the dirt and everything becomes like I play so many video games that involve just like killing a lot of people that I don't even think about it until like somebody else is looking at it and you go,
Right.
"Oh, this is like really dark. This is like really gruesome." This one is also maybe like unfortunately or fortunately like weirdly timely just because it does involve a sort of weird infection. Um, and it also involves the idea, I think you'll see pretty early on here when we start, the idea of blood transfusion, which apparently they're saying is a possible way of helping with COVID.
Right. Like plasma with antibodies being
Yeah.
transfused to other people. Yeah.
It's like this old timey technique, basically, but it's like still might have this like legit, effect. Um, so anyway, I'm guessing you probably don't know too much about Bloodborne.
I know nothing about Bloodborne.
It's from this Japanese developer named From Software, and they make a lot of these games that are known for being very, very hard. That's like kind of their thing, is like everybody knows that they're very difficult, but also like very fair and punishing. They like to do things like where if you die in the game, you lose everything you've been accumulating up to that point, and you have to start back. And it's more about like you getting better by just like progressing through it. Okay, so I just started a new game. Do you know what kind of color hair Mariah Longworth Nicholstore had?
I've only seen her in black and white photos.
Exactly. It's always kind of light-ish,
Yeah.
maybe,
I'd
but
say
I don't know.
medium tone.
Medium tone.
I don't know. Here she is.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
It needs to be up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So there's like different classes. Oh, yeah. This is definitely Noble Scion. Sounds like Mariah. So I'm gonna go with that one. Scion to a respectable line with faith in your pedigree.
Good for her because she was from a respectable pedigree and she was
Yeah.
she was very involved in her religion, Catholicism.
Oh, was she? She's a big Catholic.
Oh yeah, she tried to interfere with papal business through her channels of
Really?
influence. Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, is this
I
Mariah?
This is me playing as Mariah. So now I'm actually in the game.
So the interior looks really dark.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. In an interior of this period, there was dark color, dark wood. It seems like there's a lot of furniture, which was very typical of the Victorian period. A lot of dark, brown, heavy furniture.
Yeah.
Victorian thing. A lot of damage to the furniture happening.
Yes,
Makes
yes.
me a bit uneasy. Curator.
That's true. Yeah, that's funny because that's a big thing actually, like in these games where they make a lot of furniture destructible. And they actually, I feel like, invest a lot of time into like the physics of how like furniture cracks and crumbles. I died, but I was sort of supposed to die.
Oh, very gothic. So these big, heavy wooden doors are very much of the period.
So there's something like I always feel like that's interesting about these games and From Software is a lot of times they're very European sort of design, but also it's completely Japanese developers. I'll read about stuff where they say, "Oh, well, this is actually this sort of Buddhist symbol." It's like they sometimes combine like Japanese culture and Western culture.
The metalwork is very kind of Western controlled.
Oh, okay.
So you see a lot of forms that are common to church architecture, which really exploded during the medieval period. So these really sturdy, stout balustrades, spires.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite views here. It was just like towers and towers and towers.
Like there's little gargoyles on the top.
Yeah, yeah. On one hand, it's like obviously so over the top and silly, but on the other hand, like downtown at the end of Piat Park, you can see like Wise Temple, the church where I think you said you got married,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That tower, City Hall, and all of these towers all kind of line up, and I always feel like, oh, it looks like Bloodborne. City Hall really always makes me think of Bloodborne as well, like the design of it.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, the kind of heavy stone structure with its towers and.
Oh yeah, and when you see there's like these doors that have little red lanterns, sometimes you can go knock on them and talk to the people inside.
I don't want anything to do with you. Trot along, will ya?
Now I'm playing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like all these people are all cooped up inside.
Like, yeah, we can relate to this, right?
I know. So none of your kids play any games?
No, I think I've heard them talk about Mario Kart, whatever that is. But nothing like this.
I love that.
I hope.
No, I love the idea of like whatever that is. Like,
I'm really extending a lot of parental supervision over their gaming.
Well, I think you're okay with Mario Kart.
It sounded harmless. I've never heard people wailing and screaming in the background.
There's less saw-toothed blades and more bananas, that you slip on.
I'm all for more fruit in video games. Well, I mean, the detail of the architecture is really astounding. I mean, they've really nailed a lot of the classic aspects of Gothic architecture. I like also that they've included like all of these wrecked sort of carriages.
Right, yeah.
On the street. Another signal of something gone wrong. They're just kind of like teetering off the sidewalk into the street.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're very good at telling stories with images. There's a nice little plaza here up ahead that I'm going to go to that has a nice little fountain that I always love. And actually, oh my gosh, now that I'm looking at this fountain reminds me of the Tyler Davidson fountain.
Oh, I see what you mean now. It sure does. It's got a really strong use of figures and that similar tiered kind of structure, that overall basic silhouette. Interesting how expressive the figures are at the base. I mean, they've got their hands out, kind of like they're pleading for something.
Yeah.
Pleading for mercy.
Right.
From this video game.
It would be hard to imagine anyone like wanting that in their public square, right?
No. It's not a good backdrop for Oktoberfest.
I've heard I have. Shutting up indoors isn't always enough.
I would say
shutting up indoors isn't always enough. That speaks volumes right now. So all of the windows that I'm seeing are very Gothic, kind of these long compositions of long panes of glass with tracery at the top.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about how much time goes into just making all this stuff in these games, Yeah.
I want to know what's in all these barrels. I hope it's wine.
There is like one really weird building that I want you to see because I feel like it's something that is probably totally like fantasy as far as I know. Yeah, so the one I was trying to show you, I'm kind of keep the camera pointed at that there's this like strange building with like a window that's like almost like a rose window.
Yeah, I do see that now. But the top of it is really weird.
In the game, this is the Grand Cathedral. And it's just such an unusual design.
Yeah.
It's like almost the only building that doesn't look like a cathedral in this place.
Everything else could pass for, a European cathedral.
Like it almost feels like a small piece of something that's been blown up to large proportions, taking a small detail of something and then making it into a building.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Pittman bedstead and how it has that like kind of arching cornice that comes up over.
Yeah.
But I've never seen that in real life.
Yeah, and like an actual building. Yeah. it's such a strange design. I mean, again, I think things like the rose window that it has are obviously kind of inspired by things you would see in a cathedral, or like also fit into that design of the time. But it's that weird stepped thing it has is like just so unusual.
It's really odd. Well, it's kind of interesting visiting these different worlds today with you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. When you brought up the Pittman bed, I think like I go through those galleries and I think, oh wow, this reminds me of this. And it's funny because like even when I was in Europe or something, a lot of times I'll be like, oh, this is like Dark Souls, this is like Bloodborne, this is like, so I'll actually almost video games give me an appreciation of these things. It's probably opposite of how it maybe should be, but it's like, oh no, I kind of enjoy seeing these things and go, oh, it reminds me of this game I played. But I don't know, it's like, how many times do people like things just because they've seen it in movies or TVs or something, you know? It's like
it's familiar, right?
Exactly.